I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the confirmation. So once again, welcome back to Microsoft Azure administration training. So as part of today's agenda, so I'm going to cover these particular topics, very basic concepts. Okay, so about the cloud. So we'll get started with what is cloud computing. You might have heard about the term called cloud computing in the market. Okay, so we'll discuss about what exactly it is about, and why companies are moving to the cloud. Okay, what is the importance, what is the advantage they're getting, and why cloud at the same time. And once you're done with the discussing about this cloud computing, so within a cloud computing, okay, we have certain service models and certain deployment models. What are all those? Okay, we'll discuss in detail. And once we're done with this complete cloud computing introductions, we'll jump into Azure. So when Microsoft has started their services, and why Azure, and some of the facts about the Azure. And let's say you as a customer, if you wanted to go with an Azure, okay, how to subscribe, what are the methods we have to subscribe to Azure, and what are the certification paths we have. And let's say for example, if you are done with the particular training, what kind of opportunities, okay, you can find it in the market. So we'll see everything in a high level. Okay, so in next 1 hour. So starting with, okay, why cloud computing, or what is cloud computing? Okay, so to just start with, okay, so let's say for example, you as a customer, if you have an idea, okay, to develop an application, okay, or maybe a startup. Okay, so if you call something startups, okay, you have a startups like a Swiggy, right, or a Flipkart. Okay, so these are like once upon a time they are like a startups. So let's say if you wanted to develop a such a application, okay, so which will give you highly profitable and a great user experience. So great user experience is nothing but, so let's say whenever you are trying to access at an application, okay, their UI and everything will be very, looks very good, user friendly. Okay, so if you wanted to develop such an application, okay, what are the things we need? Very bare minimum level. Okay, we'll see that now. And let's say for example, if you wanted to achieve that particular target, or for hosting such a great application, and you need to publish in the internet, right? So your application has to be accessed across the globe. Or maybe let's say for example, if you wanted to restrict for at least India, okay, so that you need to publish it in the internet. So to achieve that, okay, for hosting a certain application, we need, these are the basic things. I think, okay, somebody has mentioned like, okay, they're coming as a from IT, like a IT support background something. Okay, they might be familiar with these particular things. To host an application, we need a server. Okay, so whatever the applications you see, let's say for example, okay, so whatever the Zoom that we are currently using, okay, this is also hosted somewhere. I'm just using it via internet. So to host any applications, okay, we need a server, and we need a storage. Okay, why we need a storage? Okay, so when we sign up for any application, let's say I'll take example as a Swiggy. Okay, when you go ahead and sign up for the Swiggy, okay, they will be asking you for the your basic details, right? Your location and your mobile number, email ID, name, full name, and everything. So that has to be stored somewhere, right? So for that, okay, we also need a storage. So let's say if we have a servers and a storage, we need a people also, like a developers. So whereas, okay, who can develop the particular application and host it. And you need a certain dedicated network, and at the end of the day, security. Because when you have a your customers data, you need to make sure that, okay, that data is secured. Okay, so these are the very bare minimum things we needed to host any application. Okay, so to accomplish this entire stuff, okay, which includes certain initial cost, and it is expensive also. At the same time, it is risky. Why risky? We'll discuss it now. Let's say, uh, before this, okay, let me open certain notepad here, so that I can just quickly explain you why it is like risky and expensive. uh, let me open my paint here. Let's say for example, as I mentioned, okay, so to host a sample application, okay, since I'm taking a Swiggy, okay, Swiggy I'm taking because, okay, most of you might be familiar with it. And let's say I wanted to start a startup called Swiggy, which serves the food to the customers. And to host this particular Swiggy application, as I mentioned, okay, I need a couple of servers. Let's say for example, okay, I need one server. Okay, let me put it this way. this is a server. Okay, and at the same time, if I buy any hardware, okay, so I also need to buy the operating system, right? Okay, to understand in your language, okay, I'll keep it in this way. Okay, if you go to any laptop store, okay, let's say Lenovo, okay, I'll say OS, that is operating system. If you go and if you go for any buying any laptop, right? Okay, what you generally see, okay, so what is the RAM, right? And what is the memory, and how much of storage, okay, 1 terabytes or a 500 GB. So those things you will see, right? That is a hardware, okay, that we need. Okay, I'll just simply call it as a hardware. So once you have this hardware, if at all if you wanted to use this particular laptop or or a server, okay, so we need an operating system, right? So if you wanted to go with a professional operating system, let's say considering Windows, okay, so which will cost you minimum 10,000, okay, for one license, for user license, right? So for that also, okay, you as a customer, okay, you have to pay for it. So if to host a sample application like a switch, you need to buy the hardware and you need to buy the license, okay, that is operating system. So once we have these two, as we discussed, okay, we also need employees. Let's say for example, okay, here I'll put it this way. Okay, so initially you have hired employees, okay, I'll keep certain count. Okay, so let's say for example here we have hired, let's say for example some 20 employees. I'm considering as an example here. Okay, so for developing your application, and at the same time, okay, to manage this particular servers, and to manage to provide certain support for your application. And at the end of the day, okay, we need to concern about the security. Okay, so to provide a security also, okay, we'll be using certain tools, okay, which will be not free of cost. Okay, we need to make a payment for them also, okay, to provide a security for your application. So these are the some of the bare minimum things, okay, which we needed, okay, to host any application. Now let's say uh, you have hosted an application, and let us imagine to set up this entire thing, you being as a startup company, you have invested certain 10 lakhs. I'm just taking it as a example, or maybe let's say I'll take an example of 1 lakh only. Okay, I'm taking as a basic example. So within this 1 lakh, okay, you have buy this hardware, okay, you have buy this particular operating system, you have hired certain employees, okay, who are you are where you are paying very less salaries for them, and you are taking care of the security. Let's say after a certain months, okay, this particular swiggy.com become very popular, right? So the initial application what you have developed, okay, it might be handling, let's say for example, only very minimum users. Let's say for example, it can handle only up to let's say for example 10,000 traffic user accounts. Okay, if 10,000 users are accessing your application, okay, so then it will work. So beyond that, okay, if let's say for example, if 1 lakh users are accessing your application, what will happen? Okay, so your server has to bear that load, right? Okay, so for that, what you will do again, you will improve this entire setup. Okay, so you will buy the extra hardware. Okay, you will buy the extra licensing, you will buy the extra you will hire the extra employees, and at the same time you need to pay the extra security also. Okay, and at the same time, let's say for example, we need to provide a high availability for your web application. Okay, so let's say for example, if I have this particular hardware, there will be chances, okay, the server might go down, right? So if this particular service goes down, okay, so another service has to be up and running. That we call it as a active patch passive mode. Okay, so this is active, and let's say this is passive. Let me put it this way. That means, okay, you might be having two servers. Okay, active is nothing but, okay, so your application might be up and running an active server. All of a sudden, if this particular server goes down, your traffic will be routed back to this particular another server. Okay, this we call it as a active passive scenarios. So let's say for example, to route this particular traffic also, again we have to specify certain load balancer. Okay, so we'll be using certain load balancers, okay, to distribute the load. Okay, so these are the kind of headaches, okay, we have. Okay, so when you wanted to host a sample application as a startup. Okay, so let us imagine after a 2 or 3 years, okay, if you get a a situation like a pandemic or a corona time, what will happen? So in the corona times, I think these startups, okay, some of might be all the hotels and everybody's closed due to lockdown, and within 2 3 months, your business went into lost, and you decided not to continue. What will happen that time? Whatever the investment that you made, whatever the employees that you hired, and whatever the hardware you have purchased, everything is a waste of cost. Okay, so these are all the some of the challenges. Okay, so startups or many MNC companies are facing, okay, to manage their applications. Okay, to overcome all these challenges. Okay, as I mentioned here, so let's say for example, let me quickly go back to my slide here. So to set up any application, okay, these are all the common things, common hardware that we needed, and at the same time, it is very risky and expensive. So as I mentioned here, okay, if the number of users increases, you will have to buy more servers to keep up the demand. So which we have already seen. So to overcome all of these challenges, okay, so this particular concept called cloud computing. This problem is solved with the help of this particular cloud computing. So what is meant by cloud computing, and why this particular cloud computing is able to solve the problems? Okay, so in general, the term called cloud computing is nothing but it is a kind of platform that provides the access to the computing services over the internet. That means, so let's say for example, me as an end user, this is my personal computer. So if at all, if I wanted to have any server, let's say I'll go back to this particular slide. So to host my application, I need a hardware and server here, right? Okay, so this server, I don't need to buy it. What I can do is I can simply approach this particular cloud provider, and I can just create a one server here, and I can just access it via internet. Okay, the word cloud computing is nothing but it is a kind of platform which provides a access to the computing resources over the internet. Okay, so remember this particular definition. Cloud computing is nothing but, once again I'm repeating, it is a platform that provides an access to the computing resources over the internet. So I can give you the best example here, and here, okay, we can talk about the advantage of moving to the cloud. Let's say you being as a startup, okay, you are investing a lot of money in the beginning, even if it is, if you went into the loss, okay, everything is lost. So when it comes to the cloud, okay, I say cloud computing. So here you don't need to buy the server, okay, and you don't need to buy the license. Okay, so this particular operating system licensing cost, right? And you don't need to uh, you know worry about the security, and you don't need to worry about the, okay, so let's say for example, if the users demand increases, okay, you don't need to worry about the buying the no hardware. Everything it will be taken care by the cloud provider. So instead of buying this hardware, what I can do is I can just simply approach this cloud provider. Let's say for example here, okay, I'll take an example as Azure. I can simply Azure is provided by Microsoft. What I can do is, okay, I can simply approach them, and I can just simply spin up this particular resources. Spin up is nothing but I can create this particular resources called server, and I can pay at the end of the month. So the concept of this particular cloud computing is like, okay, we can utilize the resources whatever you need, okay, for hosting your application, and you can just simply pay at the end of the month. So if you take a example of this Fiji, okay, what is their business model? So after serving the food itself, okay, they will get the profit because customer will pay the payment, okay, after food delivery, right? So he will be getting the uh, profits, okay, after a month. So for him it is very easy to pay the this particular whatever the hardware he is using, okay, for hosting his website. So this is how, okay, even startups also, okay, they're getting benefited. Instead of putting initial investment, okay, they can simply go back to the cloud providers, and they can just utilize the services whatever they needed for hosting their applications, and they're just paying at the end of the month. This we call it as a pay as you go model. Okay, so pay as you go model. So whatever you're utilizing, okay, you just need to pay. So for every service, okay, they have certain cost, you will be paying for that. So for this I can give you one best example. So we have like a bounce, right? So instead of buying a scooty or a bike, what you're doing, you're just booking that particular bike, and you're going for a ride, and once you're done with your need, okay, you are submitting back. Okay, instead of you spending 1 lakh to buy a scooty or any bike, you're just booking it and using it, and you're just giving it back. So the same I can compare with the cloud computing. So here, okay, so we also have one more example here. Let's say we have a Zoom car, right? So instead of you buying a car, spending almost like a 10 lakhs, okay, you can just book a Zoom car, you can go for a ride, and okay, they will be giving you certain price, okay, for the kind of kilometers which you are going to ride, and you will just simply paying it. Similar way, so this cloud computing is also coming with many advantages, okay, providing with multiple computing resources like a virtual machine. Virtual machine is nothing but a server or a hardware, and a storage, and so say many resources for hosting your web application. Okay, same thing here, you could say some of the definition. So cloud computing means storing, accessing the data and application over the internet, okay, instead of your hard drive. So whatever we are doing, let's say for example, if you are using a Facebook, if you are using a LinkedIn, or if you are using a YouTube, so these are like a kind of cloud computing. So you, okay, so let's say for example, within a YouTube, if you uploaded a certain video, that will be stored somewhere in a Google data center, okay, because YouTube is belongs to you Google, and you're just accessing it via internet. That is the concept of cloud computing. And coming back to the why companies are moving to the cloud. So this is what, okay, we discussed. Okay, licensing cost, protection of the data, and frequent upgrades with the latest technologies, and maintenance and upgradation. These are all the headaches, okay, we have. So these are the challenges, okay, we can overcome by moving to the cloud. So this is very important. And why cloud? So here we have a three advantages. Okay, one is kind of speed, scale, and economic. Let's say if I talk about the speed, so within your maybe your on-premises data center, or maybe like when you go ahead and when you wanted to spin up a server, so it needs certain time. Okay, initially you need to take a purchase order, and you need to take a certain approvals. Okay, it will take on an average, okay, close to 1 month. Okay, people who are working on IT desktop support engineers, okay, they might already familiar with it. So to get a one server, okay, on their own data center, it will take minimum 1 month. But when it comes to the cloud, if you have all the required details, you can just create the server or spin up a server in a minutes. Okay, so that is kind of the speed. Similarly, scale. Let's say, for example, you started your Swiggy business in India, and if at all, if you wanted to, scale your business, that means, okay, increase your business to some certain different geographies. Let's say, for example, US, or maybe, you know, maybe any Europe countries. Let's say for example, I'm just taking an example. So what you have to do, okay, to set up your similar application in those particular regions, okay, you need to set up this particular entire thing back again. You need to buy the hardware, you need to buy the licensing cost again, you have to hire the people over there, and you have to take care of those securities, okay, because in US and Europe countries, okay, the security concerns will be there. So you need to take all those headaches. But when you move to the cloud, it is very easy for you. Okay, you can just take a one more subscription in this particular region, and you can just host your application. So it is very easy to scale your business also, and at the same time economics. So with the very recent statistics, so companies are able to save almost like a 50 to 60% of their annual income just by moving to the cloud. Okay, so that is a very huge advantage. Okay, that's the reason, okay, we have a very good demand in the market for this particular cloud computing, that is Azure. So these are the some of the advantages, okay, you can just remember. So by moving to the cloud, the major advantages will be like a speed, scale, and economics. And moving ahead, so here we have some of the cloud computing service models, and some of you might be already heard about these terms called IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So we'll discuss about those service models in detail now. So IaaS is nothing but infrastructure as a service, and this is majorly used, okay, to host an application. And PaaS is nothing but a platform as a service. So whereas, okay, we can just simply build it, we don't need to worry about the certain underlying hardware. So we'll also discuss about it now with the basic examples. And when it comes to the SaaS, it is kind of a software as a service. It is something like I will just simply consume it. So I'm going to show you this particular service models, that is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, with a certain examples now. So I'm going to cover it with these particular specific examples. And before that, so let me see the some of the offerings of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So let's say if you take a on-premises is nothing but your company's data center. So whenever you wanted to host certain applications earlier, okay, you used to companies are used to manage their own data centers, and they used to create the servers, and they used to host the application within those servers. And when you do that, so these are all the things, okay, you have to manage. That is like a networking, storage, servers, virtualization, operating system, middleware, runtime, data, application. These are all the things, okay, you as a customer have to manage. So when it comes to the cloud computing, so these are all the different service models we have. That is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So when you go with the IaaS model, what will happen is this underlying entire, networking, storage, servers, and virtualization will be taken care by the cloud provider. So since we are talking about the Azure, so it is managed by Microsoft. On top of it, what type of operating system that you wanted, and what is the middleware, and what is the runtime, okay, to run your application, and everything you can manage. Okay, and here we can perform the many customization, okay, for your application. That is an IaaS. And this I can compare with one of the examples here, a car as a service. Let's say, for example, I can compare your on-premises data centers as a owning a car. Okay, so what will happen, okay, when you own a car? So everything you will manage, right? Let's say starting from the buying the car, managing the finance, okay, managing the service, renewables, insurance, road tax, garage, fuel. These are all the things you will manage. The same thing, okay, you are doing, okay, within your on-premises data center also here. So this is your on-premises data center. You as an employee, okay, you're doing everything. But when it comes to the cloud, okay, we have a different service models. Okay, so let's compare IaaS with one of the example called car lease. What will happen when you buy a car? If you give for the lease, what will happen? You're owning the car, you're buying the car, and you're managing the finance, and the rest of the things will be taken care by the person who has taken for the lease. Okay, you know uh, paying for the insurance and road tax and everything. And this is a kind of model that I can compare with an IaaS. Coming back to the platform as a service, here you don't need to worry about this underlying hardware. It is very useful for the developers. It is kind of a managed services. So Microsoft itself, okay, will provide you these services, whereas a developer can simply go ahead and deploy their code into this particular services. So this I can compare with one of the service here with an example like a car hide. Let's say, for example, this I can compare with a Zoom car. So let's say when you book a Zoom car, so these are all the things, okay, you're not worried, right? Let's say who is owning the car, who whether the car has a finance or not, and whether the car is done with the servicing or insurance, road tax, everything. What you will be doing, you will be just filling the fuel, you'll be paying for the road tolls, and maintaining the driver. So this is something like I can compare with a pass. Coming back to the SaaS, that is software as a service. So here it is kind of a plug and play model. You don't need to worry about anything. Okay, so you can just simply subscribe for it, and you can use it. As a best example, I can give you many things you are already doing, like Facebook. Okay, so you're not worried about, okay, who is developing the Facebook, and whatever the peaks or whatever the content which you are putting there and where it is storing, you're not bothered about it. You're just simply signing up and using it. That is one of the SaaS offerings. Okay, the Zoom meeting what we are using here now, okay, this is also considered as a one of the SaaS. Okay, Gmail, Yahoo, YouTube, everything comes under as a SaaS applications. So this I can compare with a car or a taxi. What you will do, if you wanted something, you will just book a taxi like a Uber. Okay, you will just pay for the how many kilometers you go with. So these are the some of the cloud service models that we have. That is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So as part of our training, so we'll be majorly concentrating on the IaaS and as well as some of the PaaS components. So what are the IaaS components, okay, which Microsoft Azure is providing, and what are the PaaS components, okay, Microsoft Azure is providing? We'll see in detail once we start with our training. So moving ahead, yeah, so this we have already discussed infrastructure as a service, so which will delivers the computing infrastructure and virtualization topics. Okay, these are the things, okay, which will be coming as infrastructure. That is servers, hardware, networking, storage, and everything. And coming back to the platform as a service, okay, which is majorly useful for the developers, and developers are provided with the necessary tools to create, test, and host their applications. And coming back to the SaaS, that is software as a service. So here you could see these are all comes under as a SaaS applications. Okay, you're using the cloud and SaaS services. Okay, from the childhood itself. Okay, when you subscribe for the Gmail is one kind of SaaS service, and Gmail has given with a certain storage account that is like a cloud computing only. Whatever the videos, whatever the document that you are storing, which will be stored somewhere under Google data center, and you are accessing via internet. That is the concept of cloud computing. And moving ahead, so till now we have discussed about the cloud service models, and let's discuss about the cloud deployment models. As a cloud deployment models, here we have three types of deployment models. So we have a public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. I will start with the private cloud first. So private cloud is nothing but companies own data center services. Let's say, for example, today if I'm working for a TCS might be having certain data centers, and within these data centers they might be providing certain services, okay, for hosting your web application, and those services are utilized, okay, available for the only within organization employees. That is called private cloud. I'm repeating once again, private cloud is nothing but it will be the kind of data center services utilized by the within organization employees. And coming back to the public cloud, so it is something like open for everybody. We have a different cloud providers, and they have the different data centers. Whatever the services that you are going to use, okay, is from their own data centers only, and it is open for everybody. They can use it and they can pay for the usage. That is like a public cloud. So as a public cloud, we have a different public cloud providers. So we'll discuss that now. And coming back to the hybrid, it's a combination of both public cloud as well as private cloud. Some of the scenarios, okay, you might see, whereas your front-ending web application, you might host in a public cloud, and in the backend database, okay, you might host in a on-premises data center. So that is the kind of scenario, okay, you can say hybrid cloud. So we'll also see some of the hybrid cloud scenarios or use cases. So just to repeat, so when you talk about the cloud deployment models, we have these three: public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. So here you could see some of the top cloud providers in the market. So you might heard about AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, provided by Amazon, and we have an Azure from Microsoft. We also have a GCP, we call it as a Google Cloud Platform, and we have Alibaba from China, and we have some of the providers like IBM Cloud and VMware Cloud. Among these different cloud providers, you might have heard very popular like Amazon, Azure, and GCP. They are very popular because they have the global presence. They have many data center across the globe. Comparing with these three cloud providers, Microsoft has many data center across the globe. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, we have a very huge demand for Azure. So moving ahead, okay, if you look at the some of the statistics, okay, I just would like to highlight only these two, AWS as well as Azure here. So AWS, okay, they have started their services in the year 2004 or 2016 in between. Okay, we have the AWS as a first cloud service provider in the market. Later, okay, Microsoft has come up with the one of the cloud computing. Earlier they used to call it as a Windows Azure when they started their services in the year 2010. So Microsoft has introduced this particular cloud concept, that is Azure, in the year 2010 February. It's been like close to 11 years now. And if you look at the some of the adoption, cloud adoptions in the market, that means okay, companies utilizing these particular cloud services. If you look at it in the market, okay, in the AWS, 76% of the enterprises are using the AWS, and 69%, okay, usually 69% of the companies using the Azure. So though AWS came into the market early, it's been like 4 to 5 years early, but Azure is giving the best competition for the AWS. And if you look at this particular experimenting, okay, we have 12% of the enterprises, okay, who are experimenting with an AWS, and we have almost like 18% of the enterprises, okay, who are experimenting with this particular Azure. And you name the MNC company, okay, they're using the Azure now. And some of the plan to use, okay, we have some 5%. And apart from this, okay, we have some of the cloud providers also. You can see their utilization in the enterprises with the level of percentages. And coming back to Azure, Azure is also one of the cloud computing platform, whereas Microsoft will provide you with the required services, okay, to host your application, and you will be paying for those services at the end of the month in a pay-as-you-go model. Okay, and when Microsoft has started the services, they used to call it as a Windows Azure in the year 2010. But later, in the year April 2014, they started changing certain deployment models and services. They started calling it as a Microsoft Azure. Okay, so when they started in the initially, they used to primarily concentrating on some of the PaaS components, PaaS services, but later, okay, they come up with the some of the IaaS models also. And if you talk about why Azure or what is Azure, here you could see it is a comprehensive suite of cloud products that allows users to create enterprise class application without having built in their own infrastructure. So that means you don't need to buy any hardware, you don't need to buy any software licenses, you don't need to worry about any network or security. So everything, okay, so this particular cloud provider will provide, and you will just pay for those at the end of the month, whatever you use. Moving ahead, if you talk about certain a technical definition, Azure is a cloud computing platform, an online portal to access and manage the resources and services provided by Microsoft Azure. Let's say, for example, you as an end user, okay, so from your personal laptop, okay, via internet, you will be logged into the Azure portal, and from the Azure portal, let's say if I wanted a server in a specific region, I can just simply create from here. That particular server will be built and up and running in a somewhere in a Microsoft data center, and those services, okay, you can access via internet. And here you are not bothered about who is managing this particular hardware, and you're not bothered about buying this hardware. You're just taking for rent and utilizing it and paying it back for the usage. And moving ahead, if you talk about why Azure, whatever the things that you needed, okay, to provide a high availability and everything, it will be provided by Azure, like availability, reliability, and maintainability and everything. And we can just pay for it, okay, at the end of the month. Okay, so we'll talk about this particular terminology, kind of auto scaling, load balancing, and geo redundancy as we progress. And if you talk about some of the facts about the Azure, as I mentioned, Microsoft has almost like a 160 plus data centers across the world. Okay, and it has a footprint, okay, almost like a 60 regions and 160 plus countries, and it is supported with almost like a 18 plus languages. Okay, so these data centers are connected with a very like a huge fiber connectivity. And if you look into the some of the things here, this was like a previous one. I think it is almost like a 95% of the Fortune 500 companies are using this particular cloud services, that is Microsoft Azure. And one more interesting thing is, okay, if you see here, every month, okay, Microsoft is getting almost like a 120 new subscriptions, okay, to use the Azure. And you can just imagine the demand of this particular cloud services. And moving back to the regions, okay, so here you could see these are all the regions. So where we have across the world. So you name the country, okay, okay, we have this particular services. Coming back to India, so within India we have three data centers, one in South India, that is Chennai, and one is Central India, that is Pune, and we have one more in West India, that is Pune. And if you wanted to look at this particular region, you can just simply go back to this particular portal, and you can just simply type Azure regions, and you will be able to navigate to the Microsoft document, and you can see the regions which are available. Okay, so if I come down, okay, as a geography here you could see, so within India, so we have a Central India which is located in Pune, South India Chennai, and West India is Mumbai. They have started their data center services in the year 2015 in India. And if you wanted to view certain view, okay, as a globe, with under the globe, how these data centers are connected and what are all the places, okay, we have the data center across the globe, you can just go with it. So which is still loading, so just wait for it. So this page is loading. So once it is done, okay, we'll see the complete picture where and all we have the data center across the globe. Okay, so meantime, okay, I'll come back here. So looks like okay, this particular site is a bit low. So let me come back here. And till now, okay, I'm just using the word called data center, right? But for some of the people who are coming from a completely from an IIT background, you might be wondering what is the data center and how it looks like. So data center is nothing but like a group of server connected together. Okay, and these did servers are connected with a provided with a certain private network and certain power supply. And if you look at it, okay, inside the data center, this is how the data center looks like. So to manage this particular servers, okay, this is the hardware. Okay, so this is the entire hardware, and whatever the services that you are going to create in Azure, those services will be created, okay, are hosted into this particular data centers. So as I mentioned, Microsoft has almost like a 160 plus data center across the globe. And to manage this particular servers, okay, we'll be having a very it's kind of isolated area, and wherein you will be having a very low temperature, okay, like a 1 or 2 degrees or minimum 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, you will be given with a complete AC to manage the servers. And moving ahead, okay, let's say if at all if you wanted to subscribe to Azure, so these are the some of the models or methods we have. We have a free trial account which we are going to do that. So I will ask each and every one of you, to create a free trial account, and I will show you how to do that also. And we have some of the Microsoft Azure pass, so which is majorly given for the some of the students, okay, who will be attending certain courses on a Microsoft Azure official websites. And we have a Visual Studio subscription, that is MSDNV qualities. So within your organization, if you have a Visual Studio license, with the using same license, we can have a Azure subscription also. And the other thing will be pay as you go model. Whatever the services you are using, you will just simply pay for it. And coming back to the enterprise agreements, so most of the MNC companies will go with it. So they will be getting with certain discounts, and they will also commit in the beginning itself. Here you could see with an enterprise agreement, you commit to using a certain amount of services on Azure over the next year. That means for next 1 year, okay, you are promising to Azure saying that I'm going to use these are all the services, and they will be given with certain discount also. And to manage to manage your subscriptions or to manage your portal, so these are all the URL, so we'll discuss about them later. So portal.azure.com will be the URL. And if you look at the Microsoft portals, most of the Microsoft portals will be starting with a portal.azure.com. And let's quickly talk about some of the certification paths. Okay, if I come back here, so meanwhile, okay, let me quickly jump here. I'll say explore the globe, and I will skip the introduction here. Okay, if you look at here, so these are the kind of a data center which they have across the globe. And if you see here, so this is the India, I guess. Yeah. So here you could see, so within the India, okay, here we have one data center in Chennai, one is in Pune. I think let's not this one. Yeah, I think this is the one. Okay, here you could see one in Chennai, Pune, and Mumbai. So these are the data center, and you can see how they are interconnected. And if you talk about certification paths, okay, let's say I will say Azure certification path 2021. I'll go to some of the images here, and let me pick anyone just to explain you in detail. I'll just simply copy this image. Yeah, good. So if you see, okay, these are the different kind of certification paths that we have. So starting with it, okay, we have a AG 900. This is majorly for the fundamentals. Okay, you will be learning some of the fundamentals of the Azure as well as cloud computing. And in addition to that, okay, so this is what we're going to discuss as part of our training, that is AG 104, that is Microsoft Azure Administrator. So once you're done with this particular training, you are eligible to go ahead and take this certification. You have to write an exam to get this particular certificate. And whatever we are going to discuss, okay, those topics will be covered there. And I will also give you certain guidance how to crack this certification also. And for the developers, okay, we have a AG204. Okay, so this is for the Azure developer. And we have a one more certification path called AG400, which is purely for the Azure DevOps. So to have this particular Azure DevOps certification as a prerequisite, either you have Azure Administrator or Azure developer. So once again, I'm repeating as part of our training. So we're going to concentrate on this particular certification path called AG104. And in addition to that, okay, we have a different, certification paths. Okay, let me quickly explain those. We have a AG500, majorly for the security technologies, and we have an Microsoft Architect level, that is AG303 and 304. If you wanted to get this particular architect badge, you need to pass these two exams. And we also have one more, data engineering side, which is majorly coming from the people who are coming from a database side. We have artificial intelligence, Azure AI engineer, that is AI 100, and we have data, data science, that is DP 100, and 220 for IoT and 120 for SAP workloads. So we have some of the SAP offerings also within Azure. You don't need to worry about those. Okay, Microsoft itself, okay, providing as a service, you can just simply use it, and you can just uh, have that particular service available, and you can just pay for whatever you're using. So we have a certain certification path for it, that is AG 120. And we have one more like a new certification path, that is Azure Database Administrator, so that is DP 300. So these are the some of the certification paths that we have. But once again, I'm repeating, we're majorly going to concentrate on this particular AG104. If at all, if you wanted to book for exam, you can just go to here and you can just simply say AG104, and you will be navigated to the Microsoft document wherein you can have the complete details. Here you could see Microsoft Azure Administrator, and you could see here what are all the topics, okay, which are covered. So these are all the topics which are going to discuss as part of our training. And not only that, okay, I will be covering some of the additional topics also. And if you look at the pricing, so here you can go ahead and change it to India. Okay, so within India, okay, you will be charged with a 4,800 excluding taxes. Including taxes, so it will be coming around 5,600 something. Okay, Microsoft certificates are very cheap, not like a SAP certifications. So coming back here, so this is what okay we discussed. Fundamentals, we have AG 900. Azure Administrator, we have like AG 104. Developers, we have a 204, and architect, we have a 303 and 304. And for Azure DevOps, we have a AG 400. And for the security engineer, we have AG 500. So this is what we've already discussed. And yes, let's say once you're done with this particular trainings, okay, in the market, you can see these are the some of the job roles. You could say a cloud system engineer, or maybe software engineer, or a cloud architect, or cloud consultant, or cloud operations engineer, cloud system engineer. So these are the some of the job roles you can find it in the market. And if you name any MNC company starting with a Microsoft, Accenture, or MSDs, or NetApp, you name the company, okay, they have the openings for this particular Azure. If at all, if you wanted to validate it, okay, you can just go back to the Naukri page. Okay, so let me open the Naukri here, and you can just simply type Azure. Okay, here you could see you can just type Azure, and you can just search. So you will be able to find many openings. Okay, and the first page itself, okay, I could see Azure Pass application developer. Some of the these are for the developers. So here you could see something for the database engineer, Azure data engineering for the TCS. Okay, if you keep on go with this particular searches, okay, you will be finding many more. Okay, here you could see Azure IaaS, okay, which we are going to discuss majorly. Okay, as a tech support something. Okay, we have for Accenture. So likewise, okay, here you could see we have a many pages. If you keep going this like this, okay, you will find many openings. Okay, so this is a kind of opportunity that you can find. And coming back to the portal demo, probably we'll start with this tomorrow. And with that, okay, I'll thank you guys. And before this, okay, I just would like to cover the certain training content also. So this is the training content, okay, which I'm going to cover. So let me just minimize this. Okay, so here you could see these are all the modules I have segregated into completely almost like 15 modules, which I'm going to cover it in next 45 days. So starting with it, okay, so very basic introduction to Azure. Okay, we'll be starting from tomorrow. And to create any resources within Azure, we have a different models, like we can create using PowerShell and CLI. Don't worry, you should not, if you don't familiar with the certain basic PowerShell commands also, I'll help you to learn it and do it. And we have some of the governance and compliance policies we'll also see in detail. And servers, okay, here we call it as a virtual machines. Okay, for creating those virtual machines, what kind of planning we do and how do we create it and how do we manage it, okay, we'll see. And we'll also see what are the storage, services that are we have within Azure. We'll see them on in detail. Coming back to the networking and interconnectivity of those networks, and once you have application and infrastructure, you should be monitoring those services, right? So what are the services we use for monitoring those, infrastructure? And data protection. For the security, what are the security best practices we generally follow? And we have discussed some of the load balancing topics, right? So within Azure we have, these are the load balancing topics, so we'll also discuss about them in detail. So in addition, I will also be covering about the Active Directory. Okay, so some of you might be familiar with Active Directory, so I will be discussing about the Azure Active Directory also. So how we can create the users and how we can set up the multi-factor authentication for the users, and how we can manage the user policies, group policies, and how we can register any application, we'll see in detail. And coming back to, these are some of the PaaS components. Okay, so to host a sample application, okay, we use the app services, how to create them, what are those features and everything, we'll see. And yeah, for the security for authentication, we are going to use this particular models. We'll also discuss them. And I will be also showing you some of the automation features within Azure. And at the end, okay, we'll discuss about the migration. Let's say if you have a server hosted on your on-premises, and if you wanted to migrate that particular server to Azure, how to do that. So that also we are going to discuss in detail. So this is the training topic, okay, and that I'm going to cover. In addition to that, okay, let me put what are the things which I'm going to cover. Okay, so my training will be like a completely for 45 days. So which will be like a Monday to Friday. Okay, and every day same time, that is 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, since some of the folks are working, let's say if you are missing this particular session, I will be provided with a video recording also. Okay, you can go through the recording and you can just understand the stuff. And for every day, okay, so to make sure that you understand the things and to perform certain practice, I will also giving you the labs. Let's say for example, if you discuss certain topics today, I will be providing you certain labs on that, and I want you to each and everybody to do it without fail. If you have any difficulty, I will help you out, okay, to do that. And next day when I start my sessions, okay, I will be starting by discussing about the labs. So in these labs, okay, if you have any difficulty to do that, I will be helping you to do that, and I will starting with a new topic. And I will also be given with a certain documents. Okay, so I will help you to how to check for the document, and in between while doing the labs, okay, how to troubleshoot it on your own. Okay, I'll help you out. In addition to that, at the end of the sessions, I will also take certain mock interviews. Okay, and I will also give you certain some of the interview questions also. Okay, which might help you to attend for the interviews, right? And if you are planning for any certification, I will also give you the guidance for cracking the certification. These are the benefits, okay, which I'm going to provide, okay, as part of this particular training. Okay, so with that, okay, so I'm done with my demo. If you have any questions, now you can just unmute yourself and we can just quickly discuss. Any questions you have?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Tell me.
Certification compulsory?
Coming back to the certification, it is good to have, but without certification also you can get a job. But some of the clients, okay, might ask you for the certification. Maybe you can do it, okay, maybe after getting a job also. But I'll definitely guide you to crack the certification. Yeah. Any other questions?
You were talking about this load balancer, right?
Yes.
This load balancer is located in the server, right?
No. So load balancer will be located, let's say, for example, we have a different offerings. Okay, let's say, for example, some of these, load balancer might be, hosted in server, but within Azure, we have the load balancer as a service. That service, okay, will be using to distribute your, load to the different service servers.
Okay, so like as per my understanding, if I'm not wrong, so inside this Azure, so everything is a package. That means the applications, everything like it will be in the application. Everything applications will be supporting for this.
See, to host our application, whatever
Yeah.
the infrastructure you needed, will be provided by this particular cloud provider called Azure. And instead of you buying the hardware and managing it, so they are managing these services, and they are giving, you're subscribing to those services, and you're paying for the end of the month whatever you're using.
Okay, okay. So I had another doubt.
Yes.
Uh, that is one second.
Hmm.
Just took a screenshot on it on this
Okay.
PaaS and SaaS.
Okay.
In that mid something you tell like midware something.
Middleware. Okay.
Miss middleware.
Yeah.
What is that middleware actually?
See, middleware. Okay, so if you see middleware, okay, so it will give the bridge between your infrastructure and your application. Okay,
Okay.
so you, okay, earlier, okay, we have certain, middleware, engineers, okay, wherein, okay, they will be we have certain tools also for the middleware. Okay, so those things also will be offered within this particular Azure.
Okay. No, I'm not so clear with the middleware now. Can you please explain it me again?
See, don't what at this moment I would say, okay, don't concentrate on the particular term called middleware, but
Okay.
on a high level, what I'm trying to tell you is, okay, it is just simply, whatever the services that you needed, okay, it will, within Azure, okay, we can get it as a service. And coming back to the middleware, let's say for example, to host your application, when you have an infrastructure is nothing but a servers and network and storage, and on top onto that, okay, you will be hosting your application, right?
Yes.
So to establish that communication, we have the middleware in between. The middleware
Okay.
is kind of, one of the software which will, allow you to interact with your application and infrastructure.
Okay. Okay. Fine. And in this data centers, so like it's a wide data center. So our storage, whatever we are doing, everything will be stored in the data center,
Exactly.
right? So in that case, what if the data center is down or if data is lost?
Yes, good question. So we have, I have to manage the high availability. Okay, to provide a high availability, so within Azure itself, okay, we have some of the offerings, so with those are also we'll discuss. So since you're asking, okay, so we have something like a availability set and availability zones. Okay, so using those features, as you mentioned, if one entire data center goes down, your data will be available from the another data center. And we also have a one more concept called DR, okay, that is disaster recovery. So if one reason, if your application or your, down, okay, that traffic will be routed back to the another data center. So we have some of those concepts also. Those things, okay, we'll start discussing in detail once we start our session.
Okay. So I have another final question.
Yes, please.
So in this case, if now we are doing this Azure architecture, right?
Hmm.
So can I switch to like after post completing this and knowing about this, can I switch to the security, Azure security?
Yes, you can see, because just to start your journey, administration is mandatory, because you should know what are the services, okay, we have, how to use it, what is their, configuration. Once you have the infrastructure, security is one of the added advantage. How to secure your infrastructure. Okay, so
Okay.
as a getting started, okay, I would recommend to go with the Azure administrator, and later you can go with the security. Later you can go with an architect, and later you can go with the DevOps. So these are like, next steps. But if you
Okay.
straight away go to the security, you don't know what is this particular, whatever the question you were asking just now, right? They don't cover all those stuff in the security. They will mainly concentrate on the security aspects.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
Hi,
you so
Ram Kumar
much.
here.
yeah, Kumar.
Actually, will this training include real-time experience as well? I hope that it will include labs.
Yes. So because especially with the cloud, like these cloud computing service, providers, whatever we are going to discuss here, we are going to do the same thing within a real time also. There is no something like, let's say for example, at this moment, if I go to the portal, okay, for the, for login to the portal, portal.azure.com here. So within your enterprises also, you're going to use the same portal, and the same portal looks similar view you will be having. And at the same time here, okay, you see some of the services, right? They are going to use the similar services. It is not something different. And to gain that knowledge itself, okay, I'm going to provide the labs, and I will make sure that you will do the labs without fail.
We can access all the resources, right? because
access.
anyway we are going for a free trial.
Exactly, you can access all the resources, and there will be certain limitations within a free trial account. We will also discuss that, but most of the services, okay, which you needed, okay, for hosting your application, you can do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
You have any questions, Ranjit?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
No from my side, sir.
Okay, so if you do not have any other questions, okay, we're good to conclude. So I'm going to share you certain, basic URL, okay, for getting started with, cloud computing. Okay, that is like a Azure fundamentals. So probably you can just, go with it. Okay, so just have a look, and we'll discuss about the further topics from tomorrow. Okay, so from tomorrow, okay, we'll see in detail topics, and I'm going to share this particular, recording also. I would request you to share your email IDs in a WhatsApp chat group. Okay, so thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice weekend. Sorry, nice evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.